Hey, and welcome to vlog number 6. It's been 8 days this time. I have to apologise, it is Monday, it is not Sunday, which means that this will probably get uploaded on Tuesday, which is a day later than I normally like to, but I have not had the opportunity to record yesterday because I wasn't at home, which I'll explain in due course. And because it's been 8 days, I apologise in advance. This will probably end up being closer to 20 minutes than 10, so if you don't want to watch for that long, then YouTube does allow you to watch me at double speed. And there's a car coming, so I'm gonna go this way. I'm wandering around the roads because I literally have half an hour before food, and so I wanted to get this recorded. I don't know how dark it's gonna be. The quality might be a little bit subpar today, but we shall see. I'm just gonna fiddle with the autofocus and make sure that it's focused on my face, which is clearly the main attraction. All jokes aside, let's actually get into my week because there's a lot to talk about. So obviously my parents were here last weekend, and so I still had a bit of time with them at the beginning of last week. So on Monday I had work for the cafe, and so they came and they had breakfast / lunch, I think, at the cafe, which was fun. My mum and dad were hopeless as ever. They strolled in, knew no German, and they didn't know what to order, and so stood at the counter asking me, what's good, what should I buy? And obviously I work there, so I hardly eat any of the food. I just sell it, because when I finished work, the last thing I want to do is stay in my workplace and eat there, so I don't really know how any of it tastes. And so we had other customers coming in and they were faffing around, but eventually they picked something, and then they decided to pick the table outside right by the window while I was preparing food, so I could see them turning around and grinning at me, and my mum was trying to take photos of me, which I quickly shut down because I don't want photos of me while I'm wearing rubber gloves making sandwiches. That's not the greatest look for me, so that was fun. And then after work I went and met up with them and we had dinner back in the same place that we had dinner on Friday night, so everything kind of came full circle, and that was really fun. So that was just nice just to catch up and chill out a little bit after work. And then Tuesday I had work for the church, so I went there, and that was the last day that Mum and Dad were in Berlin, so they met me for lunch, which was nice. Went to a place called Books and Bagels, which, no prizes for guessing what they sell. They sell books and bagels, amazingly. But I would definitely go back. Had an amazing kind of salt and pepper bagel with cheese and chive, and it was incredible, and I might go there tomorrow because I have time, so I might do that. So that was fun. Sadly, Mum actually lost her watch, I think, which is really upsetting, but she's managed to get a new one, which is okay. So that was fun. Bit of a hectic morning for them, coming to see me, getting everything sorted, and then obviously having to get to the airport, and I can see that it's getting a bit dark, so I might need to fiddle with some settings in a second or walk out of the shade. So that was okay. And I had work for the church, which was a little bit light on the ground because spreadsheet stuff is coming to an end, and I'm waiting on some other information to get some more GDPR stuff done. So it was a little bit lighter last week, and then just towards the end of last week everything began to get busy, which means that everything should be good for tomorrow and the rest of this week. So that was Tuesday. Kind of think if anything else happened that was interesting on Tuesday. I don't think anything did. If I remember it, I will mention, but I don't think it happened. Wednesday I had work, which was fine. I turned up, it was very busy, there was so much stuff going on, so everything was mental. I picked up some coffee that had been freshly placed in the fridge for iced coffee. So when we make iced coffee, we make normal coffee and we put it in the fridge so it goes cold, and then we add ice cream to it later when it was cold, but these had just been put in the fridge. And I'd worked out that they cool down quicker in the freezer. So I'd taken them out to go and put them in the freezer, and my boss came up to me and was like, what are you doing? Why take them out the fridge? They need to get cold, etc, etc. I was trying to explain in German why I wanted to put them in the freezer, and I still to this day do not know the word for freezer in German, so I need to Google that. Or if anyone watching speaks German and knows, please tell me. So I was trying to do that, and as I was doing that, the lids weren't on properly on these. They were like takeaway coffee cups, and so they ended up spilling all over my hands, burning hot coffee. I genuinely thought that I was going to have like scars on my hands. It turns out I was being melodramatic, and it just hurt for a few hours. But yeah, so that happened. So that wasn't the greatest start to the shift, and then I was locking up with, that is a sprinkler that's getting me wet. And then I was locking up with Kirill again, as I mentioned in my last vlog, the guy from Russia. So that was again 2 fairly new employees, neither of which fluent in German, locking up a cafe. Surprisingly unstressful, which is surprising. But yeah, so it wasn't too bad. We finished relatively on time, nothing went too bad, and we finished a bit early, so it was good. So that was Wednesday. I'm trying to think if I did anything else on Wednesday. I believe I went for a run on Wednesday, which was warm. But yeah, so if anyone knows me, they know that I've kind of started running recently. It's something that I enjoy, not something I'm great at, but something I want to get better at. But I was quite proud on Wednesday because I downloaded an app and I discovered that the loop that I've been doing, which I'm kind of what I'm walking now, around the houses, this gives you an idea of the neighborhood that I live in. I thought the laps were 2 kilometers each, so when I would do 3 laps, I thought I was doing 6 kilometers. It turns out the laps are more like 2.5, 2.6 kilometers each, so I thought I was getting a really bad time. But when I used the app and actually ran and did a 5k, it turns out that I was able to run a 5k sub 30 minutes, which I'm quite pleased with. Obviously I want to get it lower and lower, but I think I ran it 28:52, which is okay, especially given that I'm not the tallest guy in the world and I don't have the longest legs. So maybe aim to get that down to 25, 26 in the future, but it's very hot here at the moment. Yeah, I'm amazed I've actually gotten 6 minutes into this video without mentioning how bloody hot it is in Germany. And I know it's hot everywhere, so I don't mean to complain. But tomorrow it's 34, 35, and then Wednesday it was going to be 38. I think it's now 36 or 37, so a bit better, but still really, really hot. So that's going to be interesting. Tomorrow's fine. I'm working for the church and I have aircon, or not aircon in the office, but the office seems to be really cool and well ventilated. It's in the shade. Wednesday, however, not quite so fun because I'm going to be at the cafe where there is ovens and coffee machines and loads of freezers and fridges, which you'd think would make it cooler, but obviously they have to suck air in and it ends up getting really hot in there. So that's going to be entertaining, especially when I'm wearing jeans and running around like a headless chicken. So that's happening. So that was Wednesday. And then Thursday I had work for the church again, which was good. The end of Thursday managed to get a bunch more stuff started, so I'm beginning to get the ball rolling again. Now I've got lots more work to do, which is good, so I'm not going to get bored and I'm not going to be sitting around twiddling my thumbs. But also on Thursday I was moving out of Johannes Maria's, which is where I'm staying here, because their daughter was at the time about to be getting married, is now married, and it all went well, which is great. So they needed their entire house to be able to put up family members for the weekend, which meant that I needed to move out for the weekend and stay somewhere else so that my room could be available, so they could run a mini bed and breakfast for the weekend, which was cool and fine, which meant I was going to stay with a guy called Sam from church. Lovely guy, was willing to put me up on his floor for a few nights, which had its advantages in that he lives closer to all of the places that I work, which meant less travelling and more sleep, but was also difficult in the sense that I had to carry a suitcase and all of my stuff all the way across Berlin again, which is something that I'm beginning to despise doing, because carrying a suitcase on the U-Bahn just makes you so awkward and I hate doing it. But I'm done now, hopefully, until I have to come home, but I don't want to think about that just yet. So got over to his on Thursday. Before that actually, it turns out Thursday they have something called happy hour at Christopher's office and at work, which this week consisted of turning their main eating table into a table tennis table, drinking beer and eating crisps as part of their happy hour. So that was awesome. Had to try and conceal my competitive table tennis player inside of me to make sure that I didn't get too crazy. So that was fine. It was fun though, really nice to be able to do that and chill out, especially because their office is fairly cool. So then got to Sam's, we chilled out, and I had to then get up really early again for work on Friday at the cafe, which was better because I was at Sam's and he's closer. So I think I only had to get up at 5 compared to 4:30, an extra half an hour of sleep. Amazing. So that was cool, did that. Started working, met the new lady Andrea, who speaks pretty much no English, but fluent in German, which helps, especially with customers. and I basically had to do a lot of the normal work that day because Claudia, the lady who runs/owns the cafe, was spending a lot of that day teaching Andrea because it was only her second day, and so I was pretty much just manning the cafe whilst she was having lessons, which was not too bad because it was the morning and it's never that busy in the mornings, but it was a bit nerve-wracking because I didn't really have that safety net because Claudia had to be off teaching, which put me on the spot a little bit, and I had a real embarrassing moment because I thought on Friday that my German had been going quite well, but apparently not as well as I'd thought, because these two young-ish girls, I'd say probably similar age to me, I'd say uni age, came into the cafe and were asking about lunch options, and I was kind of explaining about the lunch options, but my German could only take me so far. I could only really say what we had, etc, etc. I couldn't really describe any more than that, and they were asking questions about I don't know, which proves my point of me not knowing enough German in that situation. And the girl just looked at me and said, would English be easier? Which was just a real stab in the chest, because I was thinking, oh, English would probably be easier, but is it that obvious that I'm English and my German's not good enough? So that was a bit difficult because there were two of them and her friend clearly didn't know much English, so I had to speak English to one of them and German to the other, which was challenging and a bit embarrassing that someone worked out that my German was subpar. So that happened, and I think I'm going to turn around because I need to make sure that I get back to my house for dinner in 20 minutes time. So that was okay, but then work finished at 1, everything was cool, and then I got a haircut. If you can't see, my hair was getting really, really long, and combination of long hair and hot weather was not the greatest combo in the world, so I went to a barber's and showed them a picture and hoped for the best, and I ended up with this, which is better than I expected, honestly. I think it's the shortest my hair has been in absolutely years, because normally it's a bit longer than this, but honestly I'm appreciating it in the cool weather and I don't despise it, so that's fine. So, we're on 12 minutes already, but I'm at the end of Friday, so that's not bad. So then Saturday, actually not quite at the end of Friday. Friday night, Sam, the guy who I was staying with, had the idea of going to the cinema, partly because there were a couple of films in the cinema that we both wanted to see, but mainly because the cinema was cool and air-conned. So we made an excuse to go and sit in an air-conned cinema for a few hours and watched Ant-Man and the Wasp. Better film than I expected. I expected like a 6.5 out of 10. Thought it was like an 8. So if you haven't seen it, go see it. It ties in well with all the other Marvel films. And there is a lady up there who's going to look at me, so I'm going to walk as far away from her as possible. It's the problem with streets, there are people around. So that was Friday. Came back, slept, got up very late on Saturday. I woke up at like 8 in the morning and then decided to go back to sleep, and then ended up waking up again at midday thinking it was like an hour later. Do you ever get that where you go to sleep, wake up early in the morning, go back to sleep, think it's only been like 20 minutes and it's actually been 4 hours? So that happened, and it's really dark. So yeah, I don't know if I can adjust stuff mid-filming. I might be able to. Let's quickly try. Can I do that? Oh, that's making it darker. Let's go that way. There we go. So yes, that is better. Focus on my face. Focus. Okay, it'll focus in a second. It's trying. There we go. So that was Friday, and then Saturday was very chilled. Pretty much sat in Sam's flat, chilled out on my laptop. We watched a few films together. We ate some food, and there's really not much to say. I don't want to bore you with the details. Then Sunday rolled around, and actually before we talk about Sunday, see, I really need to make notes because I'm very back and forth, but on Saturday and Friday I had to make the slides for the Preach on Sunday. That's one of my new jobs while I'm out here in Berlin. So I got sent the entire Preach in German, and I had to translate it into English and create the slides, and we're not quite focused just yet. There we go, I think. Close to, doesn't really matter. It'll sort itself out. So I had to translate all the slides from German to English and create all of them. And I'm kind of grateful it was German to English, because that's a lot easier than English to German, because obviously I speak English, so I can bung it in Google Translate and read the English and see if it looks outrageous. And most of the time it was fine. Occasionally it needed some wording changes, but other than that it was okay. And obviously Bible verses are easy, because I can just stick the Bible verse into Bible Gateway or somewhere like that and get the correct version, etc, etc. So that was all fine. got that all done. It was a little bit pushed for time, but we managed to get that done. I now have a massive appreciation for anyone who does that, because that takes so much longer than I ever thought it did, just to make all of that. So then on Sunday I turned up early. I was part of the welcome team / bodyguard team. I say bodyguard team because my job was to stand in front of the seating area and not let people through until 5 minutes before the service, to make sure that they were all in the coffee area chilling out and they weren't sitting down and causing problems to those people still setting up. So me, with my massive physical presence, stopped all of the people getting through, which mainly just consisted of pointing and telling children not to run past me and muck around, which they did anyway, because that's what kids do. And I'm walking down the middle of a road. So that was good. This week we had preach from a guy called Jonathan Reichardt. So he is one of the leadership team at Mosaic. He is from Germany originally, but obviously speaks fluent English as well. So he preached in German, and his wife translated, which was really interesting. He was preaching the first part of a new series called The Theatre of God, basically talking about how the world is like God's stage in which he is acting out this incredible story in which he is the main character and the main player, and we are just these little pawns, these little extras on the sides, and just kind of going in and showing everything that God's done and what he's achieved through everything that he's done with sending Jesus and all of that, and the whole salvation story, which was really interesting to hear. And it was again interesting to listen to the German, pick up as much as I can, and then rely on the English translation. So that was a really powerful message, really good. But because I've made the slides and I could see him going through it all, it was quite interesting to see, because he didn't stick exactly to his slides, which is fine. Everyone's got their own style, so I was expecting certain slides and certain points to come up, and they didn't come up quite in that order, but that is okay. So that was interesting, and that was really good service. Really good to actually get back into a service again following not having a service for 2 weeks, and I'd kind of been craving it and missing it, so that was really good to have. And then for the rest of that day I just headed back to Sam's flat and chilled out, which was nice. Sam went out for the afternoon. I was expecting him back at about 5 or 6 in the afternoon. I'd clearly been misinformed, and he got back at about 10:30, 11 in the evening, at which point I was beginning to wonder if he was coming back, if he'd had an accident, if everything was okay. So that was, interesting. Bit worrying. I was sat in his flat thinking, I kind of want you to come home now. And I even messaged him asking, is everything okay? And I didn't get a response, but he came home and everything was fine. And then that led to this morning. And I woke up much later than him because work for me started later. And then I went to work and I had the cafe shift today, in which I was closing, but today I was closing the cafe with Andrea, the new lady, which is challenging because although she is learning to do everything, she doesn't know everything that she needs to do, and so I need to tell her in German, because she speaks basically no English, what to do all of the time. Not because I'm being bossy, but because she doesn't know what to do and she needs me to tell her, which is fine. But the late shift is often stressful enough as it is, with 2 people who know exactly all the jobs that they need to get done before the end of the shift, let alone with someone having to tell the other person constantly, I need you guys to go and do these few things. And my camera is flashing at me like it's about to run out, so I might end this one quickly here. I hope everything's been good for you guys before the video cuts off, and I will have to speak to you next week, so hope everything's good and we will speak again soon. Bye.